I've pondered this question. I've even voiced it a few times on Twitter. Why are the Astros so good in the World Series and in the playoffs every year, and the Cubs aren't? They were both building in 2016. The Cubs won. The Astros in 2017. They tanked at the same time. But now all of a sudden the Cubs are a different crew. They have one player left that was on the World Series team. That's Kyle Hendricks. And the Astros just continue to win. So we're going to talk about that right here on the Cubs baseball channel. Before you go anywhere, though, two things I got to tell you. First off, we're looking to add you to our roster. We're trying to get back to the World Series, and we need some really good talent. That's you guys. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, hit the bell so you know when we're live. And don't forget, the Tennessee Smokies, champions of the Southern League, bring you the Cubs baseball channel. He's Chad Anderson, and I'm Mick Gillispie. And again, welcome to the Cubs baseball channel. Chad, I threw it up there, and I'm not a hater of the Astros. Look, no one likes what we found out.
You like trash
about.
cans?
Yeah, no one likes what we found out about the 2017 Astros. But, at the same time, I mean, what they've been able to do, winning World Series, getting to the World Series, always in the playoffs, is what I thought the Cubs should be able to do. Why haven't the Cubs been able to do this?
Well, maybe Wrigley Field didn't have the technology set up that, Minute Maid Park had or whatever it's called today. Yeah, trash cans and buzzers and
right. Well, they won legitimate last year, though. Right?
They did. You know what? I just like to give them shit and be not that they didn't deserve to be punished, obviously, but it's just one of those things where it doesn't make it right.
Punished? Was anyone punished?
Wasn't Hinch punished?
No, I mean the players. Were the players?
Players-wise, I don't think so. Right?
No, none of them were. That was a trick question.
But it's also one of those. Not that we condone it necessarily, but it's just like college football. Before there was NIL, there was cheating going on. Remember when the St. Louis Cardinals got busted for cheating and grabbing intel on the Houston Astros when they were a part of the National League Central? So that crap's kind of been going on, here and there over time. But yeah, you're right. And you go back, I was looking at this roster, as we were getting set up and getting ready to start the show. And you go back and look at that 2015 roster. And the reason, 2015 was one of my favorite teams. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because it was so unexpected what they did. Like, you knew it was coming, but it just shot out of a cannon. And that was John Lester, Jake Arrieta, Pedro Strop, some of those guys that you had either signed or acquired via trade. And then you just look at the rest of the roster, and you had a veteran catcher with Montero, and you had Riz, you had Addy, you even had Castro on that team, Bryant, Coughlin, Fowler, and Soler. It was just like one of those teams that you love. And I think that's like the part that burns even more. As you watch the Astros and how they progress as an organization, and you watch the Cubs and they surprise you and succeed the way they do in 15. They go win it all in 16. But did 17 not almost just feel like a victory lap?
Yeah, I've said that.
That's really what it felt like. It was just like a parade, a tour around Major League Baseball. Hey, guys, the 108-year Chicago Cubs World Series curse-breaking champions are in town. And that's what it felt like all year. And they made it to the NLCS to get swept by the Dodgers. And then from that point forward, it was like this slow deterioration. Mm-hmm. And then we've talked about this on other shows. That's when bad trades and signings came in from Theo. And we love Theo for what he provided in 2016. But you can't deny that Eloy Jimenez being traded, Dylan Cease being traded, Jose Quintana was not the guy. Craig Kimbrell signing, it felt desperate. Right, and he didn't even perform very well.
Right. So it was Soler traded for Davis, and he only stayed 1 year.
Right. So it was one of those deals where the Cubs, after that World Series, it just felt like everybody got fat and happy. They were content. Whereas the Astros, and then they started throwing good money after bad. The Astros, though, just continue to develop,
Mhm.
make good deals, make good trades. How many times are the Astros going to let Justin Verlander go? And then the asshole ends up back on their team in the playoffs
Right.
every single year, you know?
Yeah.
And it is frustrating.
Yeah, I think you make some great points, and I'm not even disagreeing. You know, I feel like when the Cubs won the World Series, it was just such a monumental championship. It really was.
Yeah.
We didn't know if it was ever going to happen. And being longtime Cubs fans, you know, forget about just being around the organization, but just as fans, it was so exciting. 2015, and then that led into 2016, and they just went and shoved every day in 2016. They were a team on a mission. But the problem is, what was going to happen after they won? Would they ever buy a meal in Chicago again? Would they be legends? Well, the answer is yes. They are legends. I mean, Chris Bryant and Javi Baez have careers that I just can't even believe, because I thought that those guys would be Hall of Fame type players, and they've fallen way off. Anthony Rizzo has had a better career than those guys. He's dealt with injuries, so that doesn't surprise me. I mean, that happens. Kyle Schwarber's continued to rock and roll. I mean, he's the only one of the four who's just consistently done something, and he's been a slugger, and he's helped the Phillies. But I thought that this core would be together, that they would be motivated, that they would be hungry to continue to win. And that goes throughout the entire organization. And what I saw inside the organization was that it felt like after the 2017 victory lap that everyone just thought they won again in 2017. And then in 2018. And then in 2019, there was an elitism that I think Jed Hoyer has done a nice job of trying to push out, and an entitlement. And that's the bottom line. And it went from the top all the way down to the bottom. And I think that's why Theo was like, you know what? I've got to get out of here because I've been here 10 or 11 years or whatever. And after that, you know, the message kind of gets lost. Theo is an elite guy. He is. I mean, he's an elitist, but you know what? He's also a Hall of Famer one day. He's also arguably the best executive ever. The problem is that the people around him, they can't think that way because they're not Theo. And what you want when you're running an organization or a business or anything, and you have someone that's that talented and that successful, is you want a guy like me that's not that talented and successful. That's just going to be like, hey, man, you know what? I got to work hard for everything I have. And here's how we got here. And here's how you keep getting there, right? You just got to have that person that's not afraid to tell you the truth. Because the truth is that elitism, right, and entitlement are while the Cubs are where they are, and while the Astros were right off the bat when they won in 2017. Do you remember what Verlander and those guys said? Well, yeah, we're not the Cubs. We're going to try to keep winning. And that, to me, Chad, is why the Cubs are where they are and the Astros are where they are.
If I had told you in 2016, 2017, if I said Wilson Contreras, Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, Addison Russell, Kyle Schwarber, if I had given you those 5 names, right, and asked you, who's going to have the better career out of those 5? Nobody would have said Kyle Schwarber.
No,
nobody would have said Kyle. And if you look at it, you know, he and Rizzo were kind of battling for that spot, you know, that imaginary spot, this self-created spot here on this channel. But Kyle Schwarber has had the most consistency and the longest. You know, Chris Bryant. One thing that drove me crazy about Chris, and he was great when he was a Cub, and I know the Cubs fans love him, but he was always hurt.
Yeah.
He always had that nagging injury. He's been hurt with Colorado. It was a terrible contract for Colorado.
Yeah.
Rizzo's battled some injuries. Addison Russell's not even in the league anymore. You know, Wilson Contreras has fallen off the earth.
Yeah.
As a St. Louis Cardinal. You know, you hate to see that. But you look back and it's just amazing how structured that core was, and then how it crumbled, and that Schwarber and Rizzo emerge as like the two and Schwarber sitting here in a World Series last year, another shot at one this year. It's kind of like if you looked at the Braves right now, because I'm jealous of the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Astros. If you look at the Braves right now, could you imagine if Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, and I don't know, pick another one, all of a sudden sucked or had average years and sucked maybe in comparison to their standard? Like, would you believe that 5 years from now? Nobody would.
No.
Nobody would look at that. But that's what happened. It's shocking.
Well, they won the most prestigious ring in sports history. You know, there were, 7 million people or something that showed up to the parade.
Crazy.
And I think that it's hard to accomplish anything in sports that's bigger than that, so maybe that played into it.
Think of what Theo did. 194 years of baseball drought.
I know, curses.
And he won 3 rings with those 2 organizations. That's amazing.
I know. The thing I'll never forget is him being in Boston and, he said driving by all the graveyards and seeing all the Red Sox flags, because so many people wanted to see the Sox win. And then he comes to Chicago and it's the same thing, like there's no more of these anymore. Right. So he's a good guy. I don't mean it to, I don't mean my criticism to be directed at anyone personally. I just lived through it being in the organization and it was just tough. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you go from, winning to winning, like Bill Belichick does, or the Astros, not to that extent, but they've done that. And, what I'm thinking is, maybe that 2017 victory lap, which I agree with you on, was the worst thing that ever could have happened, because that's what cost the Cubs the opportunity to get right back on track and be motivated to win again, instead of, kind of just being like, hey, you know what, I'm going to take all the free dinners, all the handshakes, all the parades, I'm going to throw out all the first pitches, I'm going to, be the on Saturday Night Live, and all that. And then it's like, well, you still got to go out there and play. There's still other teams that want to beat your ass every day, and you got to overcome that.
And I think I want people to understand this when we talk about it and when we're critiquing and criticizing to a certain point here, is that I don't believe that the Cubs didn't care if they won in 2017, but there's just simply a different kind of adrenaline and fight and, just hunger in your gut. Yeah. Hunger. Yeah. Like there's just a different drive when you're trying to repeat, or you just broke that curse. And like you said, you're kind of getting the celebrity tour compared to having that monkey on your back and trying to get it off of you for 100 years.
I want to hear what you guys think. You tell me if you think we're right or we're wrong. I didn't know that we would agree or we wouldn't agree because I've never really talked to Chad about this before, but give us your opinions, get in the comments section and tell us what you think. Why did the Cubs not have the success that the Astros had? And don't forget, this is the Cubs Baseball Channel. Like and subscribe, and thank you for being here. We'll talk to you tomorrow.